In 2021, there were fewer than 10 power of sale listings in the entire GTA. By the summer of 2025, that number had nearly hit 800 in a single month, a 99% jump year over year. And heading into 2026, with over a million Canadian mortgages renewing at significantly higher rates, that pressure is not going anywhere. So if your realtor has been flagging some of these for you, or you've been hearing the term come up more and more, you're probably thinking, is this actually a good deal, or is there a catch I am not seeing? Now that is the right question, because the difference between what most buyers assume about power of sale and how it actually works can cost you real money, real time, and a lot of unnecessary stress. The simplest way to think about it is this. Someone bought a home, then life happened. Maybe their mortgage payment doubled at renewal, maybe they lost their job, maybe your rental property stopped making financial sense. And the moment you decide to buy into that situation, you're inheriting every complication that comes with it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what power of sale means in Ontario, why there are so many right now, and most importantly, the specific reasons you might want to think twice before making an offer. My name is Gaurav. I am a realtor operating in the Greater Toronto area, and I help Canadians make smarter buying and selling decisions using real numbers, not assumptions. In the US, when someone cannot pay their mortgage, the bank takes legal ownership and sells it as the new owner. That is called foreclosure, and it's where the buy cheap bank properties idea comes from. When a lender owns the property outright, they can sell it at whatever price they want. No obligation to protect the former homeowner's equity. That's why deeply discounted properties happen in the American system. In Ontario, it works very differently. Almost every mortgage here includes a power of sale clause. If the borrower defaults, the lender gets the right to sell, but they never take ownership. The homeowner stays on the title until the day the sale closes. The lender is selling the homeowner's property on their behalf using a right written into the mortgage agreement from day one. Now, because of this, the lender here in Canada has a legal duty to get the fair market value. They cannot take a cheap offer to sell the property quickly. If they do and the homeowner loses equity, the homeowner can sue the lender. The idea of picking up an Ontario power of sale at pennies on the dollar is a myth borrowed by the American real estate culture. Power of sales are appraised and sold at or near current fair market value. Foreclosure does technically exist in Ontario, but it's extremely rare, takes over a year through the courts, and judges rarely grant it when there's meaningful equity involved. That's why almost everything you see on MLS is a power of sale. And because the legal process runs 6 months to a year or longer, some of these homes sit vacant and deteriorate long before they hit the market. From January through August 2025, there were over 1,100 new power of sale listings in the GTA, up more than 50% from 2024. By mid-July 2025, active sale listings were up 99% year over year. Nearly 3% of all active listings were being sold by lenders. CMHC data shows that delinquency rates nearly doubled in just over a year. Now, there are 4 things driving this. First is renewal shock. Homeowners who locked in at 1.8 to 2% in 2020 or 2021 are now renewing at significantly higher rates, sometimes adding over $1,000 to their monthly payment. Over a million Canadian mortgages are still working through this renewal cycle in 2025 and 2026. Second is price deflation. Values in certain GTA pockets have dropped back towards 2019-2020 levels. Some homeowners owe more than their home is worth and simply cannot sell cleanly. Third is the student housing collapse. International students surged to over 800,000 in Canada by 2022. Investors bought specifically to house them in Brampton, London, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Kingston. When the federal government cut admissions, the student population disappeared. Empty homes, collapsed rental income, properties worth less than the mortgage, meaning more power of sales. Fourth is private lenders. A meaningful portion of these listings aren't from big banks. Private lenders charge higher rates to borrowers who don't qualify traditionally, and when payments stop, they move fast. And then there is a factor most experts say matters most: unemployment. A job loss event creates more defaults than any other single factor. For families who end up in power of sale because life changed unexpectedly, that's a genuinely hard situation that often had nothing to do with bad decisions. Here's what this means for you as a buyer. The surge in supply doesn't automatically mean a surge in opportunity. It could mean more opportunity or more distressed inventory, more deferred maintenance in a market that's already under pressure. Most buyers walk in with a few assumptions. Each one is a reason to pause. Reason 1. The discount is rarely what it looks like. The lender is legally required to get fair market value. The goal is to recover the debt. If they are owed $800,000, they need to sell at or above that. Any price difference you see reflects condition and risk, not a bank rushing to give you a deal. Before you get excited about the listing price, have your agent pull the last 3 to 5 comparable sales either on that street or the surrounding area. If your agent isn't doing that automatically, ask for it. That one step alone will tell you whether you are actually looking at a deal or just a property with problems baked in. Reason 2. You're buying it exactly as it sits. These properties are strictly sold as is. No warranties, no representations. If the inspector finds mold, structural issues, foundational cracks, the lender is not giving credits, not reducing the price, and not fixing anything. You'll also see 3 to 4 extra pages of bank-specific legal clauses protecting the lender, not you. Make sure your agent has reviewed power of sale schedules before, because these clauses are different from a standard agreement and the language matters. The inspection here isn't a negotiating tool, it's your only window to know what you're actually taking on. Here, an inspection usually acts like information and not a negotiation tool. Homeowners in financial distress often defer maintenance for months, sometimes over a year, before the property hits the market. Get a thorough inspector, price out every finding they give you, and run those numbers against the asking price before you go any further. Reason 3. A firm deal can still fall apart. This is the one that catches buyers most off guard, and it's the central risk that makes power of sale fundamentally different from any other real estate transaction. Because the homeowner stays on the title throughout the process, they keep the legal right to redeem, meaning they can pay off the arrears, interest, and legal cost at any point before closing, even after the property is listed, even after your offer is accepted and firm, even 48 hours before the day you're supposed to get the keys. If that happens, the power of sale ends. The lender loses the authority to sell, your deal disappears, no recourse. Now think about what that means in practice. You've paid for the inspection, you've arranged your financing, maybe you've given notice to your landlord. One phone call from the homeowner's lawyer ends everything. Make sure your agent has walked you through exactly what your exposure looks like on that specific deal before you go firm, because most buyers only find this out after it happens to them. There is maybe a 1% probability of this happening in a power of sale, but it is there. Now, the only question worth asking is this: is this priced far enough below a comparable clean resale after repairs, legal complexity, and the deal risk to be actually worth it? When you run that comparison properly and the answer is still yes, that's when it makes sense to move forward. And if you want help running that comparison on a specific listing, then that's exactly what the book a call link in the description is for. So, who should actually be buying these? Power of sale works well for experienced investors comfortable with risk and minimal conditions, contractors who can accurately price and manage repairs, and buyers with strong financing and a real cash buffer for surprises. For most first-time buyers, it's a harder path. Not because of anything wrong with the buyer, but because the process doesn't match what they actually need. It gets complicated when your budget has no room for a $20,000, $30,000 surprise, when you need predictable total cost, when your approval needs real conditions, or when the idea of a deal collapsing weeks in because the homeowner just redeemed is too much to absorb on your first purchase. Remember, these are distressed assets, not dream homes. Use power of sale as one option in your search, not the whole strategy. Here's what you should do before your next showing. 1. If your agent flags a power of sale, don't dismiss it. But before anything else, ask them to pull comparable sales and show you where the price actually sits relative to the market. 2. Ask your agent to walk you through the bank schedules on any power of sale offer before you sign. If they haven't done one before, that's worth knowing upfront. 3. Speak with a real estate lawyer as a condition in such an offer. Ask about the as-is clauses and the redemption risk on that specific property. 4. Write down what you'd realistically spend if the inspection came back with major issues. If that number still makes the deal work, you may have a real opportunity. If it doesn't, clean resale homes are the better move for you. And 5, if you want someone to look at a specific listing with you and run the actual numbers, the link to book a call with me is in the description. This video was never about telling you to avoid power of sale. It was about making sure you go in with the full picture, because the buyers who do well on these deals are the ones who ask the right questions before making an offer, not after. If this helped you, share it with someone who might be thinking of buying a power of sale. It might save them a lot of headache. And if you're thinking about buying in the next few months or even the next year or two, then my name is Gaurav. I'm a realtor operating in the Greater Toronto area, and this is exactly the kind of conversation I have with my clients before they make a move. If you want someone to sit down with you, look at the real numbers, and tell you honestly what makes sense for your situation, book a call with me using the link in the description. We'll go through where you are right now and figure out the clearest path forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.